I think Flins is going to be the best Electro DPS. Let's talk about it. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Okay, so, recently I've been focusing a lot on Flins without an Effa, and is he still going to be viable? However, now we need to talk about Flins with an Effa, because here's the thing. Removing an Effa from him, it is a drop-off. However, to think that you're left with a bad unit is far from the case, because his baseline is just really good, so whenever you remove the robot lady, yes, you are missing out on a large chunk of damage and a large chunk of benefits for your Flins. However, he's still going to be really strong, because he's just inherently a good unit. So, whenever you take that strong base, and you do give him his best in slot team, holy guacamole, are you gonna have yourself a very strong Electro DPS. If anything, I think that he's going to be the best Electro DPS over time. Now, we're gonna have to wait for his launch to really see this. However, I honestly am placing my bets on him being better than Veressa, and this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think that in the long run, Flins' high investment is going to beat out Veressa's high investment. The only premium investment that Veressa's team has is Moika, which is strong, but that's basically it. Otherwise, she's basically just reliant on 4-star constellations, which we all know are very hard to get, such as Chevreuse Cons and the INSANE Cons. Whereas with Flins, he has an Effa right now, but that's definitely not it. He's also going to be getting Columbina down the line, because that character is likely to end up being a support for every Nod Cry character. Every Archon ends up benefiting every unit of that region, at least since Sumeru. So, if he's already this strong with an Effa, then oh boy, I do not even want to know what this guy's complete premium team is going to look like. To be honest, on launch, I still think that if you have his premium gear, he's still going to end up being a contender for one of the best Electro DPSs, if not the best. Even on a free-to-play setup without the robot lady, you've still got yourself the best Electro-charged DPS. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, going to beat up Raiden and Gloriander Electro-charged teams without even a second thought, and this is assuming without an Effa, by the way. However, with her, it's gonna get gnarly, and I feel like he could even be a potential top 5 DPS. That's how good we're talking here. He is very strong. Not to mention how Flins is just a really easy character to give high Primogems based investment and see a wonderful return on that investment. For instance, when it comes to his 5-star weapons, he's luckily a polearm character. That means that you have a ton of options at your disposal. Now yes, you can definitely pull for signature for drip. I'm honestly half considering doing that myself because I really like the look of his sig, even though I have some really good weapon options for him. But anyways, that's besides the point. From a meta standpoint at least, you have so many options. And if you have an Effa, one thing that I really like is that if you're using Lady Farina in his teams, you're basically always going to be locked to 50% HP. This is because you're not bringing any healer, as there is no way to fit a healer into his teams comfortably. However, this means that you can abuse Homa's passive, as you're always going to be at 50%. And I just think that's pretty cool. Otherwise, if you're not playing with an Effa, you basically have no sustain in your team, therefore no shields, and you need 2 Nod Cry characters anyway, so Aino's going to be replacing Lady Farina in the team as the main Hydro. In this situation, any of you who pulled for Cyno's weapon, I hope you should feel lucky, because that's going to end up being very good on him. You can even use Calamity Queller as a big attack stick. There are generally just a ton of options for you. Yes, Primordial Jade Winged Spear is also going to be fantastic, and that's a weapon that you can win off of standard. So generally, you just have a ton of really effective options on this guy. You can go for his Sig, which not only looks really cool and is going to be very strong on him, but you've got options. And I've made an entire video glazing how good his C1 is. It is a really good C1 because it's able to entirely compensate for the lack of an Effa. That's a really big deal, because that's not something that every character can do. A C1 Skirk is not suddenly going to make her feel just as good as a Skirk with an Escoffier. However, Flins can do that. That is a real piece of investment that can actually compensate. It's the same amount of golds anyway. You'd be pulling a 5-star for another 5-star, and in this case, it's the same thing. You would pull a 5-star in order to get that 5-star on the level of performance that he should be at with that other limited character. So you've got so many options in terms of high investment, and in the long run, he is definitely going to beat out other Electro DPSs. Granted, we don't know how flexible Columbina is going to be. If we consider Moika, she ended up mostly being good for not long characters, and that ended up being the most ideal space to use her. So, I would expect Columbina to probably want Not Cry characters more out of any other character in the cast, and I'm not sure if she's going to help your entire account, so to speak, because if that's the case, then perhaps other Electro DPSs are also going to benefit. However, with that being said, if that's not the case, then I do believe that Flins in particular is going to be getting a special boost up. Even if that is the case, I still think that Flins in particular is going to get some special benefit, because I do feel like the fact that he's a Not Cry character is probably going to help him out somehow. Archon constellations recently have also just been completely broken, so there's also that for you. Consider how Lady Farina's constellations are absolutely nuts. Every single one of them is good for her. Yeah, I would assume Columbina's probably going to be the same. You have to consider, we're talking about pre-Archon Flins here. So, with that in mind, I think he is definitely going to be quite the strong fella. Now, the nice thing is, I wouldn't worry too much because here's the thing, most Electro DPSs play an overload anyway, and Flins isn't really going to be stealing teammates from anyone. He uses such random characters. Yes, I'm sure you're really going to want to use Sucrose and Inefa in other teams. So, because of that, I feel like you're going to be fine if you like other Electro characters. Don't worry about it too much. I don't think they're going to eat into each other. So if you want the character but you feel like you already have a good DPS of that element, well then you can just consider him to be an upgrade to your Electro Charge teams at least. One other thing that I want to drive home is that yes, it is clear that Inefa's kit was obviously made for Lunar Electro Charged. It is clear that you ideally do want her, but does that mean that you're not going to get any value out of him whenever he releases if you don't have her? No, of course not. You're still going to get value out of him. This is the thing. He is less worth pulling, sure, and I would say that if you have some of the really top-tier DPSs, such as Moika and Skirk with their premium teams, then he's gonna feel a little bit underwhelming. However, I think that he's honestly not that bad at all, even if you don't have an Efa. Like, yes, it's not as good, but you're still gonna be able to make it work, and you can always compensate with C1 if you feel the need to, so you have options at your disposal with this guy. I can honestly see him aging very well. Consider that he uses such cheap random teammates, and over time, his team is only going to get upgraded. I am curious if Sucrose is ever going to get replaced in his teams. As it currently stands, Sucrose provides him with a crud ton of EM, and that's what he really likes. He loves EM buffs. He himself is likely going to want to build double attack, because that's how Lunar characters are. Lunar reactions have big attack scaling. However, because they're reactions, they still do very much enjoy EM, so I honestly don't know if Sucrose is going to get replaced anytime soon. However, it's very nice that she actually has a use case. I'm just wondering, because if Sucrose does get replaced, then that's more potential for a premium team option, which is only going to further push Flins into the limelight. If he's this good, with copium gear, with 4-star teammates, with just a not ideal setup, well then what is he gonna do when he gets more ideal teammates? Only time is gonna tell. And the thing is, if you really don't want an Efa for whatever reason, it is gonna be likely that Columbina is just gonna be able to save you. Yes, you might not have his top potential, but I'm sure you're still going to do just fine. So I have full faith that this guy is just going to end up becoming the new best Electro DPS over time. If not on launch, then definitely whenever we get the Archon of this region. I don't think that this is suddenly going to make Veressa bad or anything like that. She's still going to be a good character, but I do think that Flins is going to be better. And if not better, then at the very least, on par. If you're going for high investment over time, I think Flins wins. And if you're starting off and you're trying to be cheap, Veressa did have all of her 4-stars on her banner, but we don't know if it's going to be like that whenever she gets a rerun. Maybe it will be, maybe it will be, but we can't say that right now. All we know is that when she released that was the case, and that might not be the case when she comes back, especially whenever you consider that she wants 4-star constellations, and while Flins does want C6 Ino ideally, you'll be fine with a C1 Ino, which you'll likely run into whenever you're pulling for Flins. So, yes, I am absolutely very much a Flins glazer because he is very handsome and I really like him. However, I do also just genuinely believe in his strength. But I will be honest and say that I am a glazer. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing his performance. I think he's gonna be pretty good. I myself am getting him without an Efa, so pray for me. It'll be a ride. But even then, I honestly don't think it's gonna be that bad. But anyways, that aside, I've been loving Not Cry. I've already 100%ed the entire map. I've done most of the event. I'm working on true 100% for it, actually. I've got all the regions to 100%. Like, I have what it says, all golden 100%. but because the compass just tells you where everything is, I'm just like, you know what? Why not spend some more time and not cry and clear all of this out? I just love it. It's a really good region. This, it's so good. I love it. But yeah, I just thought I would quickly share my thoughts on Not Cry there. I'm so excited again about Genshin. This is awesome. But anyways, hopefully this video was able to tell you why I personally think Flint is going to be the new best Electro DPS. This has been Juice, signing out, and I cannot wait to pull for this guy.